So we can just start. Hello everyone and welcome to our session this afternoon. Let me introduce myself. My name is Carabott. I'm a lecturer in the Faculty of Education, and my colleague who will also be presenting today is McLeod, also from the Faculty of Education. And we're both really passionate users of digital technologies in classrooms. So we hope that you get something out of today. If you require any further information or any of the tools that you've seen today, our email addresses are on the screen. Feel free just to email one of us and we'll help you out. Okay, so let's make a start. What we're going to do let me see, who is planning to go into primary? Who's planning to go into secondary? Great. Who's used Kahoot before? Good, okay, great. We're going to do a quick Kahoot quiz, so if everybody could get out an internet-enabled device and log into Kahoot, and I will give you the name. That one? Did we just turn it down? Is that what we did? Why don't we have any sound? No.
Oh, because you changed which one it's coming out of.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the PIN number is 186903. Okay. When were personal computers introduced into classrooms? The 1960s, the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. So we had two people get that correct. It wasn't as late as the 1990s, it was actually the 1970s. So you can see that technology in education has been around for quite a number of years, much longer than what we kind of think. Okay, so, we've got, is it Lee as number one so far? Okay, the Harlem Shake received how many views over 40 days?
The Harlem Shake.
So 10 people were correct with that. Imagine when we think about audience, when we're getting our students to complete assignments, who is the audience? There is the potential to have a much wider audience than just the teacher, and then imagine the work that goes into that. So audience is really, really important when we're thinking about digital technologies. Okay, Dunkirk. Has anyone seen that movie? Apparently it's very good. Approximately how many educational apps are there in the Apple App Store? Four people got that right. 173,000 around about average. So that is amazing. So you can see as teachers, we have so many choices around digital technologies and the ones that we can use in classrooms. Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming that there's just too many. My advice is use your new best friend Google. What are the best interactive story apps? What are the best slideshow apps? And then you can start to play with it that way if you're thinking about using apps and mobile technologies. The same as with computer-based. So let's see who's currently winning. Okay, in 2014, what was Google's most searched for recipe? It seems like it's a very popular recipe, but that was the most searched for recipe on the internet. All right. Ooh. Last question. How many hours of YouTube videos are uploaded every minute? Every minute, how many hours are uploaded? Hours every minute. Can you imagine how much goes on in a day? How much there is now on YouTube? And congratulations to, is it Yogiism or, pardon? Can we all give Yogi yes? Okay. Well done. So you can see that the world that our students are growing up in is certainly changing. And we would both advocate, you know, the use of digital technologies, but also a balance with other forms of technology. You know, paper-based book, pen and paper, they're still important, but so is the digital technology. So what we're going to do today is we've got quite a few things to show you, and we just want to show you all of these things, and then you can go away and have a little bit of a play with different things. So, next, we were going to talk about, very quickly, Kahoot. Has anybody used Kahoot for assessment? So you've used it in classrooms. Think about Kahoot, what we just played, for assessment. Assessment for learning. Find out what your students know. It's easy to do. Quick quiz on something. Quick quiz on chemistry. A quick quiz on the history topic that you're going to do. Find out what they know. Where are the misconceptions? Using Kahoot as learning. You could stop your class halfway through and do a quick Kahoot quiz about things that they've been doing for the first half of the lesson to also get an idea about where the misconceptions are. And then you can certainly use it at the end as a kind of summative assessment to actually inform how much your students have actually learned. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you on this side of the screen some multimodal book apps. Does everybody know what the term multimodal means? Can you nod or go like this? Maybe, there's some nods. Okay, very quickly. A multimodal text is a text that has more than one mode. So, for example, in a picture storybook, we have the written mode, which is the written words, and we also have a visual mode in there. We also have some spatial modes, how things are being arranged in there. We have some gesture modes, the expressions on people's faces. We have what's called a haptic mode, which is touch, certainly when we turn the pages. And certainly digital technologies allows us lots of other different modes. So this is an example of a multimodal picture book app for the iPad. So this is the paper version of the Wrong Book. And has anybody seen the Wrong Book app? Okay, so this is the app version. Oh, we don't care if it slows down. Now, am I going to have sound? I'm hoping.
It'll be on here, I think. Video settings from laptop.
Oh, so there we go. Okay, so we have the book. So let's have a look. And then I think if we click on your own voice over the top reading, which... Oh, so what that is you can either have it narrated by the book itself, or you can actually record your own narration over the top. So you can imagine if you were using something like this in early primary, you could actually get the students to record their own narration, which actually means they're then checking for fluency and expression and making it sound really interesting. And so this just works just like a normal book. We can click it over. The kids' favourite page, let me show you, is that one, because they certainly like those sounds. I've seen kids sit here for ages, just, and it goes through the whole book. And what it does is it just adds some extra dimensions in terms of reading. And when we're talking about reading for engagement, sometimes these forms of books, can be just as engaging as being shared as one with the teacher with this kind of a book. So there's certainly lots of different picture books out there. And you can see on my iPad there, that's just some of the ones that I have on my actual iPad. Does anybody remember the book The Monster at the end of the book? That's now a real, let me just quickly click on it. It's turned into a fabulous app now. These probably rate for about $6 to $10 to buy, so it is quite comparable to
Hello, everybody. Oh, what is this? The monster at... Oh! The monster at the...
So anyway, you can see you can use those kinds of things. There are apps that use augmented reality. So augmented reality is when we use a trigger image for something and we add something on the top. So we have a book here. Amber, would you mind holding it? It's called The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lessmore. And it has an app. Let me just
You could just
find
read it
it.
as a normal book. You don't have to have the app to use it, but way better with your
Yes. So in classrooms before, you might like to read the paper-based book and then add multimodal aspect to it. So we'll just click play, and Amber's going to hold it there for me. Come on. Oh, yes, so it's saying, come, read me. Oh, yeah, you've got to turn. And so the book then comes alive. And so what it does is it allows you to add an extra dimension to the reading experience. I mean, you can imagine how powerful it is when you're talking about vocab and you're talking about how this page makes you feel, what the visual images make you feel, and then you've got words coming out of the text as well. And then the library, we'll just show you the library, which is the last one. So
There was music from my neighbor's
that's
house.
the library.
Some
And when
years
we
ago.
turn-
Never mind how long.
Tell me what thy lordly name is on
To suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. If it be not now, yet it is the sea of troubles, and by opposing end the ghastly.
So,
we have got one that will pass around so you can use it. So here's the book and here is the app.
so that's one, yes. This is just for a tablet, so there's only an app, so a Mac.
Not Android.
Not Android, no.
But there may, I don't know of any on Android.
No. There would be
There might be.
there would be interactive storybooks on there, but I don't think that the Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lessmore is on there. Yeah, but you can create your own. So this is a commercially produced augmented reality experience. I'm going to show you one that we have produced as part of another program that I'm involved in. And we use this text Anzac biscuits. And what we did is we actually created content that is augmented onto the reading experience. So this is just a normal picture storybook. And what we did is we looked through the book and worked out what was the added information that we wanted students to know. So for example, in this book there is a really old stove. I'm trying to hold two things at once. Sorry, Amber. Somewhere, the old stove. Somewhere. Anyway, there's an old stove in there. What we did is we've taken a photo of the, hold up. We've taken a photo of the old stove as the trigger image, and then we've used a taligami, which is a avatar, and we've actually linked to the two. So that when I point this iPad at that book, I'll show you what happens. And we actually sent these out into primary schools, and we had grade 5, 6 students using this particular, where is my Erasma, using this particular form of augmented reality. Hopefully this works. Yeah. Okay, I'm hoping it works. So you can see here that this is the app called Erasma. You produce everything that you need to add online, and then it actually syncs up with the app, and now I'm hoping it's synced properly. So for example, Amber, can you hold?
Both the author and illustrator
have been clever to provide links between the two settings for the family and the soldier using repeated images or words. Can you notice how the lighthouse shape is repeated on the next page? See if you can find the repeated image or words for each pair of pages.
And so each of the pages, what we've done is we've chosen a visual literacy element, so we've chosen one of the images that are really interesting. We've looked at the linguistic elements, so we've chosen some of the vocab that's in there, and we've talked about that and different words that might be around that. So you can see that just by using one of these apps, we can actually, it's not quite as cool as this, but we can certainly augment normal books with it.
So you can imagine if you had your students in your class, particularly in a primary setting, but not just in a primary setting, and you had the books in the classroom, and you could get each of your students to do a review of a book they've read. They take a photo of the front cover. You use this app to attach the video of them saying what they thought of the book to the front cover, and then other students can walk around with the class iPad and listen to other students' reviews and say, oh yeah, that sounded really good, I think I'll read that book. Okay? And it can certainly be used in other settings. So I've got an example here that actually some of our fourth year students here made for history. So they were teaching about the Kahoot Trail, okay? That was their history thing they were talking about. And what they wanted to do, and this often with technology, the idea comes first and figuring out how to do it comes later. So they wanted the students to be able to immerse themselves in an experience that would help them to understand what it might be like for the people who are on the Kahoot Trail. So up in the Dandenongs, there's a place called 1,000 Steps. Does anybody know that? Yeah, okay, a few people know that. So what they did is they took the students to the 1,000 Steps because they thought if we get them to go up and down the 1,000 steps, they'll be hot, they'll be tired, they'll get some idea of the emotions that perhaps were being felt at the time. And they used the Orasma app, so the same app that Kelly's talked about there, and they went around to different places along the trail. So, and they gave the students this worksheet and they said, go to this place on the trail and somewhere in this area there is a trigger. And so the trigger might have been this. It was probably that. Some areas it might have said that there were 2 triggers, right? There's 2 triggers in this area. So maybe one was there, maybe one was somewhere else. And what they did was when the students went up to the trigger, they held the school iPads over it, so obviously they'd have to have Wi-Fi enabled for that, yeah, and they could see what was happening. So I've got an example here, so as an example to show you, this is one of the things they did. So if I put this over here, okay, you can see there's, oh sorry, you can see the content there. So some of them had videos, some of them had songs from the time, some of them just had information. But imagine how powerful that would be to take your students on an excursion where they're gathering information and at the same time they're feeling what it might have felt like to be in that situation. Okay? So Orasma is not very hard to use. You can go to the website to figure out how to use it and you get the app to access it, but you do need Wi-Fi for it. Okay, what was next? Oh, okay, another one, which you've got on here, haven't you? Another one that you can try out today is there's an app called Monash Rocks. Okay, so Monash Rocks was developed here at Monash. Does everybody know where the Monash Rock Garden is, the geology rock garden? Yes, some nods. Okay, so if you head further, deeper into the campus over towards geology, there's a big rock garden there, and the rock garden has rocks from all over the state, and they're all different geological types. And what they've done is they've developed an app that goes with it that is augmented reality. So if you happen to be teaching at a school somewhere near Monash, this is a ready-made excursion for you and your students. You just get the Monash Rocks app. If I begin this, I can say what I want to do. So you can be off-site or on-site. So there, I'll just quickly look at this. There's a whole bunch of educational resources. Worksheets coming soon. The one I saw already had worksheets on it, but I guess they're coming. So you can prepare the students before you go. And then when you go to the rock garden, see if it works here. So here's a map of the rock garden, and when you get there, if you click on that AR button down the bottom, you can actually, there's little tags on the rocks, and you can point this at the rocks and it will come up with information. Obviously I don't have a tag here now. But in the same way that you use the Orasma one, you can point it at the tags there and it will come up with information about how those rocks were formed. So really interesting, and loads of information put into that. So that was developed here, not by Faculty of Education, that was by Geology. So really interesting stuff there that you could have a look at. Okay, so another thing we might want to look at is how can we use things like Excel. Okay, give me a second here. In ways that support, for example, literacy. Now, who knows how to use Excel? Okay, as a spreadsheet. So normally when you think of Excel, you think about numbers, right? I'm collecting some data, it's numbers. I'm going to manipulate the numbers. I'm going to use formulas to make the numbers. Well, when you get into schools, you're all going to have to teach coding, right? At one level or another. So it comes into the curriculum in Foundation to 2 level, but because it's a fairly new inclusion in our curriculum, a lot of students in Year 12 don't know basic coding. So it falls upon teachers, at least for the next 10 years, to get students caught up on coding, right? And any teacher can teach it. You don't have to go off to the coding class to learn it. It's not necessarily dedicated to IT. So I'm going to show you how you could use it, for example, in a primary literacy class. So what I've got here is I've just opened up a spreadsheet, and on the second sheet, what I've got is a whole lot of book titles here. And I said to the students, go out and write a book review about this book, right? So I've got who they, what the books are, who wrote the books, the student review, the rating the students gave the book out of 10, and then what was the name of the student. So I happen to be the first one, okay. And what I can do is I go into sheet 1, and this I just coloured in, right? So I just used the colouring in tool here. So I could have made the whole sheet yellow or blue or whatever. I picked green. And I just coloured in these ones around here as black. So it looks like a bit like a website, right? It's not. It's just an Excel sheet. And then I've created things called macros, and I'll quickly show you how to make a macro. But the way a macro works, I've only got one going at the moment, but if I click, wait, let me just delete this, sorry, so you can see how it works. If I click on Rosie's Walk, it's going to go over to sheet 2, get that information and put it here on sheet 1, okay? Now I'll show you how you do it. I'll show you 2 things about it. So the first one is you say, let me just think, is it view? Yeah, view, macros, right? Has anybody heard of macros before? Yeah. So all these things up here, all these things that are in the toolbars at the top, they are macros that somebody else made, right? That's what they are. So you can make your own macros, and you can do it in Word, you can do it in PowerPoint, and you can actually make macros that you put in the toolbar. So if there's something that you're doing all the time, you can put it in there so that you don't have to go through the process of doing it. It will do all those things for you. So here's an example. So I say, okay, I'm going to record a macro, and I'm going to call this macro, so Matilda, right? Matilda is going to be this macro. Okay. And now it's going to record everything I do, right? It'll say, when I've finished, I click on stop recording, but it will record everything I do now. So what I want to happen is when I click on Matilda, what I want is, so I'll go to sheet 2, Matilda. So I want this, so I'm just going to copy it, and I'm just going to paste it here. I want that to go there, right? What else do I want to happen? I want this one to go there. And what do I want here? So this is the, this is the by. So this is the student who did it, right? So for that one there, I want the student's name, which was Penny. Copy. And I'm just going to paste it in there. And then finally, I want my rating out of 10. So I'm going to copy this one. and I'm going to paste it in there. Paste, right? And then I'm done. Oh, you know what else? I don't like the way it's right over that side, so I'm actually going to reformat that cell. So I'm going to format cell. I don't want it to be a number. I kind of want it to be, if I make it a number, no, I want it to be text, so it will appear on the other side, because that's just nicer. So that's what I want to happen. Okay, so I've told the computer what I want to happen, and then I just click stop recording. Now let's go over here. I've made a button, so I just said insert shapes, the same as you would in PowerPoint or Word or something, and then you can format them to look like they're raised or whatever. So I'm just going to right-click on the shape, and can you see here it says assign macro? So I'm clicking on assign macro. I want the macro called Matilda to happen when I click on that. Right? So let's go back to Rosie's walk. There's Rosie's walk. I might just make this a little wider so it fits in better. Okay, so will this work? Let's have a go. So I click on Matilda. There it is, Matilda. Obviously, it doesn't fit on this screen, but if I minimise that a bit, it might fit on the screen. But this part here is purely aesthetics. You or your students can make it, you know, whatever shape you want so that it fits on there. Now, if I go back to Rosie's walk, you'll see there's a mistake here because it says by 6. So if I look over here at Rosie's walk, I've used D2 when I should have used E2, right? And so what I can do is, if I go to my macros over here, and I say view macros, and I click on Rosie's walk, I can say edit, and it shows me the coding behind it. So this is actually a great way to learn coding, because I might start a macro and I might say to the macro, copy this from here to here, stop the macro, and then look at the coding and then understand, oh, if I write that, it means copy and paste, right? So the students start to get an understanding of what the coding looks like behind it. So what did I say? I forget what I said I'd done wrong. So it was this is F10. So F10, I wanted D2. So let me see if I can find that now. F10 and D2. D2 to F10. And what did I really want there? E2. So if I change this to E2, fingers crossed I've done it the right way. And then, okay, I can't see just fit that in there. It's all done. I'm going to save it. Oh, it's a read-only file. Can't save a read-only file. I'm just going to close it. And hopefully, I don't know if it will work because it's only a read-only file, but let me try. Oh yeah, So I haven't quite got it right because Amber ended up in the rating of 10 there. But you can see that you could use this. This is coding. You could use this for all kinds of things. I just picked a random book review thing. But think about all the things you could use it for with your classes, all right? So start brainstorming, how could I use this with my class, with my particular discipline? So if you're a science discipline or you're an economics discipline or whatever, of course you can use Excel in the traditional ways, but here's another way of thinking about how to use it, and it's also a way of teaching coding. Go, Animate.
Yeah, and then do you want to Sparrow after that?
All right.
Go back to PowerPoint.
Yep.
All right, I'm just going to very quickly show you an online tool which is really interesting to use, okay, with your students. So this program is called Go Animate. Unfortunately, you only get a free 14-day trial and then you need to pay for it. What I've done, this is being recorded, is you can stop your subscription after a month, for example, so you could use it potentially, and then you do have the option of stopping your subscription. It's about $40 a month to use it. There are lots of free iPad apps or Apple apps, iOS apps, that you can use to do a similar thing. Things like Telegami, Chatterpix, which we're going to show you in a minute, all of those do similar things. This is probably the easiest animation program that you can use, though. So this is a video that was made by myself, and it's been narrated by Colin Garland, who plays for the Melbourne Football Club. And this is part of a website that we developed for Melbourne. So, if it's going to play. Oh, there's no sound. Do we have sound? I don't know how the sound works.
Hang on, I'll put it on. Audio settings, desktop music.
Hi,
Yep.
I'm Colin Garland, and I am really interested in reading about war history. Anzac Day is a significant time for all Australians, and the Melbourne Football Club is proud to have a long tradition in honouring our Anzacs. We hope you enjoy exploring the website, reading some of the stories we have chosen, and listening to videos. World War I also saw the Australian game of football taken across the world, as soldiers played games in Egypt, London, and behind the trenches. Have fun exploring.
So what you can do on this particular program is you can actually create the avatar. So we had about 6 footy players, and their favourite part was seeing how we had created them and what they looked like in avatar form. So it's quite, I think if I got it open there, no, stay. So it looks like something like this, the program. It's really easy to use. I've used this with grade 5 and 6 students before. It's basically just a drag and a drop, and then you can add the narration in. So if you think about how you could potentially use that in classrooms, if you're a chemistry teacher, you could get your students to talk about a particular item that you want them to talk about, a particular idea. History, you could do the same. You could have a dialogue happening between 2 historical characters from a particular event. Thinking about how engaging that would be. One of the things about multimodality and allowing students to express themselves in multiple ways is that those students who may not be as good at the written word can orally, tell you a lot. So it's really important that we're allowing them to present in lots of different ways. So that's how that particular program works. What we would like to do now is show you our robotics that are playing noises down the front. We're lucky in the Monash Faculty of Education, we have a class set of Sparrows, and we have some Ollies as well. So Amber's going to demonstrate. She has an iPad to actually control Sparrow, and Amber's task here is to try and drive Sparrow along this very interesting path that we have made. Oh, no, it's all good. So Amber and I kind of brainstormed away. This is lots of fun. You can do lots of really good coding. Amber's going to show you that in a moment with Sparrow. But if you think about maths, if you think about measuring things like speed and then working out the median and the mode of the speed, in literacy, for example, oral language, getting one child to direct the other child where to go. Prepositions, could you drive the robot under the chair and over the ramp? I've seen examples of when Sparrow has gone home with a student and they've used the GPS tracker and they've driven Sparrow around, and then they've written a whole recount of what Sparrow did at home on the class blog, for example. So what we'd like to do is to invite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
We'll get everybody on the end of the row, come down and have a go.
So 10 people to try and come and navigate this interesting... And you can go over this side, and we'll try and get everybody to go. Now the Ollies are over this side, if there's no more Sparrows left. Yeah, so just put them anywhere on this road. Anywhere, you can start in the middle if you like. Oh, and I've got an Ollie over here. Who doesn't have one? Do you have one? we need, who else would like to come down? I've got another Ollie here. Somebody jump on up and come down the front. I know you're all wanting to have a go.
So this one's a bit easier because it's very clear where it's front and backwards. Put it down. The blue mark should face. A bit easier. And then if you turn it inside.
What's really interesting about these Sparrows here is they are transparent, so you can actually see the inner workings as Ollie is moving, Sparrow is moving around.
So this one helps it move, this one does the tricks. So go and put it at the start and see if you can get it through.
So you could do literacy learning, you could use it for maths, you could use it to write an instructional text, for example, make Ollie go forward, do that.
Sorry, whoever's that was.
What sort of maths things? You could do speed, so you could use the wheels to measure how many metres, and then time, how long it takes to get, and then average out the times, for example. You could certainly do that on a much bigger trigonometry and all that.
Well, yeah, the earliest probably use it.
Amber, secondary examples?
Okay, so actually these education ones, they're see-through because you can see how it works. So I've actually had high school physics students looking at it and saying, how does it work inside, right? There's a lot of stuff online actually about how it works and worksheets already made. So you could use it for a lot of things. It's really only limited by your imagination what you're going to do with it. All right, so there...
Oh, can we stop?
Oh, yeah.
So people who are on the floor, could you grab your Ollie or your Sparrow and go and find somebody else?
Hand it over.
Hand it over to them so they can come down and have a go.
We leave the thing on the floor.
Well, yeah, except they have to know
Because
which one it
they're
is
synced to a
because
certain
they
iPad.
attach to certain
Yeah.
iPads.
Maybe go up the back. There's lots of people up there. And these- Is there one behind there?
So has anybody succeeded? Oh, that's not bad. Look at that one. Whoa.
Do you want to talk through the coding?
All right, so while they're playing with that, I'll show you another way to use exactly the same robot, the Sparrow, okay? So there's two different apps. One of them is just called Sparrow, and that's the one everybody's using now, which just drives it around. But there's another app called Sparrow Edu. So I'm showing you Sparrow Edu now. This is what it looks like. So this Sparrow is connected to that, so I'm going to put it here. All right, so that's my one there. And using this app, I can program how it's going to move. So if you look at this at the moment, you can see that it says when I run the program, it will be blue. It's already blue, so nothing's going to change. And then if you have a look at the bit underneath that, it says roll, and I can change the number of seconds I want it to roll for. I can change the speed I want it to roll at, and I can change which direction I want it to go. So at the moment it's set to go straight ahead, but I can say how many degrees I want it to go, so I can turn that. All right? So let's just, oh, I've got to find out which way is the front first. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to start it, and can you all see it down there? Yep. So let's see what happens when I run this program, and then I'm going to add some more things. So when I start it, blue, it moves, and it moves back again, right? So I'm going to add some things here. I'm also going to add another colour. All right, so I'm dragging colour on, and then I click on that. What colour? I want it to be red. Right? So I'm going to get it to change to red. And then I'll get it to spin. All right. I'm going to get it to spin. All right, so how many times around do I want to do it? So 360 is one. Let's say I do 1,000, so it's going to go to a couple, right? 1,000 degrees. And how many seconds do I want it to take to spin that fast? Let's say 1 second. All right, now let's try it out again and see what happens. So, it's moving, moves back, changes colour, spins. Okay, you get the idea? So imagine if you had some students using that app and they tried to follow this, and then you had another group of students programming Ollie to follow that. Okay? And you could have a maze or something on the ground. You get the students to write their name and have to follow the letters or something. And you could have a race. Okay, so let's give you both an hour. So team 1, you have an hour to figure out how to do it using that app. And team 2, you have an hour to figure out how to do it using coding. And then we're going to race at the end and see who's fastest. So one team has had an hour to practice and one team has had an hour to code. Right? So you can use coding for lots of things. So we have it in Excel, we've got it here. And do we want to do any more coding apps? No. All right.
Was there anything else?
No, that's fine. So we do the PowerPoint, so we don't have time.
Unless you just want to show them
All right.
chatter pics. Do you want to?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Have I got that on here? I don't know if that one's on
I've got
here.
it online.
Oh, okay. We'll just use yours,
Where it is?
which is here. You can do that. All right, so some more things you can use with your iPads, which is a good one for tablets, but also Androids have a lot of things like this too, is storytelling apps. And there are loads of storytelling apps available. And the real strength of these things is you use these storytelling apps, you save them to the camera roll on your tablet, and then in another program, like iMovie or something, you put them all together to make a trailer or something like that. So this is a really simple one.
We need to change the sound to there.
Oh, yep, okay. Hopefully it'll come through in a minute.
So you can use the cat that I just downloaded.
Oh, okay.
Gallery.
So you get a choice here. You can either take a photo, so I could take a photo of, it's not me, a photo of, for example, a chair, right? And then you can make the chair talk. So you just draw a line where you want the mouth to be, right? And you record it. Hi everyone, I'm a chair. And then let's have a look. Hi everyone, I'm a chair. Okay, so maybe I don't like that and I decide instead I'm going to get a picture. So here's a picture of a cat that I'm going to use, right? So I draw, oops, yes, so next. I draw a picture on the cat, or a mouth on the cat. Meow, hello everybody. Whatever. Meow, hello everybody. And then you can put all kinds of, filters. I could put I could put a pair of glasses on it, or you can do a whole lot of fun stuff like that. There's frames, you can write some text on, whatever. And then at the end, see down the bottom there, it says export. So I can export this to my photos, to the camera roll. Once it gets into your camera roll, you can use it on the iPad in other apps like iMovie, but you can also email it to yourself. I'm just very quickly going to show you what I've done. PowerPoint, I'll do this one. Okay, so this was actually for my nephew. So he was asked at school to do a project on Luna Park. So what he did was he made a Lego Luna Park, right? There's a better picture of it there. And when he made the Lego Luna Park, he recorded it on the iPad using this app, making the Luna Park talk. So he had two. He had one, this particular one's called Telegami, where you make an avatar, and he made the avatar talk, and that was him asking the questions. And then he used Chatterpix to make Luna Park answer the questions, right? And so he made them on the iPad, emailed them to himself, and I'll just show you here. So there we go, one movie, two MP4, so they're different. They'll save them in different formats, but most of them you can just embed that into PowerPoint. So we put it into PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, we said, if you click on a video or sound that you've made, another menu comes up here, playback. we said, okay, I've inserted this video, play it full screen and start it automatically. So don't wait for the click, start it automatically as soon as the slide opens. And then in transitions, you go to, normally on PowerPoint you have to click the mouse to go to the next slide. Well, you don't have to do that. So you can also say, go to the next slide after this amount of time. So we played this to see how long it was, right? 2:98. So we said after 2 minutes and 98 seconds, go to the next slide. And then we saved it all. So we've gone through, this is just a, we just put pictures in and made them wiggle around. We put in a whole lot of these, right? Answer the questions back and forwards. And then we said file, save as, no, not save as, share, no, not share, export, create a video, right? And it made a video. Here's the video, so you get an idea. Oh, there's no sound. Wait, it's coming. Let me just try again. We've got sound issues here. So this was just, normal animation. This is the picture.
Hi, this is Oscar reporting from Luna Park, the oldest theme park in Australia. Today we have an exclusive interview with the famous Mr. Moon, who is the face entry of Luna Park. Good afternoon, Mr. Moon. Hello, Oscar. How are you?
How cool is
I'm
that,
very well,
right?
thank
So the whole
you.
thing
Could
goes
you
through
please
like
tell
that.
us
You don't want to-
what year did Luna Park?
But the other thing you can do with PowerPoint, just really quickly, is you can make your own books. You can get the students to make their own books. So let me just show you this one. So this is all PowerPoint. So
This is a story about BB-8's Big Farm Adventure by Amber McLeod.
So what I've done is I've put a picture, that's a picture of a page curl in there, so it looks like you're turning the page, and I use the page turn animation. And I've set it up so that when that picture is clicked, it will go to the next slide. Right, this is all just the animation, the normal animation.
Hello, BB-8. Beep-boop, beep-boop, beep-boop. Let's go for a walk.
And you can even make it, in the book when Kelly clicked on the thing and it farted. Yep. So you can even do that kind of thing. I've put a really obvious one there. There's a bird in the tree. So when you click on the bird in the tree, it does that. When I click on this, it does that. When I click on this one, it does something else. So you can do all kinds of things with it, really. And then next page. Come along.
Hey, what are you guys doing here? We're playing with the sheep.
Alright, and then you can... Okay, I
Oh, that is
So you get the idea that just with PowerPoint, you can get your students to make their own digital book. And then the other thing is if you save it as so normally they're saved as PPTX. If you save it as a PPTM, right, then it just appears, I'm just going to put it on the desktop, and then minimise this so you can see the desktop. Oh, we've got so much open. We'll just close that one, minimise. There it is. It just appears as this, and when I open it, it didn't work. Normally, when you open it, you can't see the slides down the side, okay? It just opens as the first page, so it immediately opens as the book. So the other kids can't get in there and mess it up. So if one kid spent 2 weeks making a beautiful digital book, you can have them all on your smart board, and then the kid can just click on it, open it up, and read other people's books. Okay, that's all? All right, that's all we've got time for. Sorry, guys. There's so much, and we just keep trying to cram it all in, but we always run out of time. So I hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions or anything, remember you can ask us. Send us emails. We love talking about this stuff and playing with it. All of this we got from the TLS. Right? This is not our stuff, this is from the TLS, so it's all there. So if you go into the TLS, you'll see people in there in that glass fishbowl thing. Just go knock on the window. Hello, can I play with? Oh,
Oh, yes.
are they just outside the door? Oh, I wasn't.
And just what, has anyone seen another Sparrow? He's done a runner. We've got one who's done a runner somewhere. It went outside. Okay, great. Thank you. See, I told you he'd done a runner. We'll just wait. Thank you guys so much for coming, as we said.